You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The views expressed by the individuals during this broadcast are their own opinions, and they may not be the same as those of their group or other organizations they may be involved with.
All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
Oh yeah, baby, that's lovely.
Good morning, it's October the 3rd, and welcome to Psychedelics and Cannabis Education News. We're live here at paceradio.net. Glenn is off today, and Cindy is on her way home from Mexico. She's actually back in Canada right now, and then she flies the rest of the way home, I think, in a couple of days. So she'll be back next week, as well as Glenn. Now, as far as news for today goes, I have a few stories from the U.S., Ukraine, as well as from Germany. So we're going to sort of travel around a little bit around the world and get some cannabis news, legalization news, medical news, so on and so forth. So I'll get started with my first story of the day, and this one comes to me from the Green Market Report. Headline on this one says, the top House Democrats call on DEA for swift action on cannabis rescheduling. Yeah, let's get on this. Reschedule out of the CSA and just legalize it. They say despite growing support in the federal level, the process likely won't be completed until at least 2025. In a letter this week to the U.S. Attorney General and the head of the Drug Enforcement Agency, two of the top-ranking Democrats in the U.S. House of Representatives urged the Department of Justice to move at top speed in its current effort to reclassify cannabis as a less dangerous drug. U.S. Rep. Frank Pallone Jr. and Gerald Nadler, who respectively chair the Energy and Commerce Committee and the Judiciary Committee, wrote to the agency to encourage its swift action on moving cannabis to Schedule 3 from Schedule 1, which at this point is not likely to be finalized until next year, given that the DEA has a hearing on the matter scheduled for December the 2nd. Just keeps going on and on and on. Now, according to Attorney General Merrick Garland and DEA Minister Ann Milligan, they say that we applaud the Biden-Harris administration's efforts in initiating this review, conducting a thorough scientific and medical analysis, and engaging in the rule-making process. We urge you to swiftly complete the process and transfer cannabis to Schedule 3. Pallone and Nadler also urged the DEA to assess further Schedule 3 and Schedule 4 and Schedule 5, or rescheduling may be appropriate. I'm going to suggest descheduling, suggesting that they would support full cannabis legalization rather than just rescheduling. Come on. Full legalization. Despite the growing support on the national level, changes to the classification of cannabis have been slow. The rescheduling kicked off 2 years ago in October of 2022 when President Biden called on a federal review. Since then, former President Donald Trump has come aboard the cannabis reform train and last month endorsed rescheduling, putting the rest industry fears that he may reverse the policy. Now, Vice President Kamala Harris upped the ante this week when she came out in favor of full federal marijuana legalization, which would likely require cannabis to be removed from the list of controlled substances altogether, as Pallone and Nadler suggested in the letter. So that's good to know. Coming out for full legalization, remove it from Schedule 1. Don't even put it in 3. Just go make it so it's legal and stop all this craziness, because it should end. You know, these banking acts, there's been several that have passed but they don't make it all the way to a president's desk, and then they get thrown out and they got to start all over again. I think there's been one banking bill that's passed in the House like 7 or 8 times over the years, and here we are today, and they're still fighting over it. So, alrighty, on to the next story of the day, and this one comes to us from StratCan, and this talks a bit about report calls for more comprehensive public health focus to U.S. cannabis laws. So more discussion about legalization. The report from the National Academies of Sciences, Engineering, and Medicine in the United States has compiled by members of the NASEM's Committee on the Public Health Consequences of Changes in Cannabis Policy Landscape. They say looking at countries like Canada and Uruguay that took a stricter public health focus to legalization, researchers say the U.S. federal government needs to bring more cohesion to the dozens of various state and legal models allowing some form of medical and or non-medical adult use to cannabis. The U.S. approach to legalization has generally been more focused on revenue generation for various levels of government through taxation and regulatory fees, as well as private businesses. At the same time, both Canada and Uruguay put policies in place that emphasizes public health concerns over private profits or even personal liberties. The report also calls on the U.S. federal government to close hemp regulatory loopholes in the 2018 Farm Bill that led to proliferation of under-regulated self-synthetic cannabinoids like Delta-8. The story goes on to say the committee was tasked with recommending a harm reduction approach to cannabis policy and setting a policy research agenda for the next 5 years. Now, according to Steve Tushin, he's the chair of the committee that wrote the report. And he says this is an urgent need for a coordinated public health approach to cannabis policy in the U.S. He says our report shows that cannabis policy often focuses on regulating sales and revenue first and protecting public health second. Now is the time for the federal government to create guidance for states that have legalized cannabis in the interest of protecting public health. Now, as they said, that's the way Canada did. Canada's gone. Let's just hope they don't do some crazy, outlandish promos that we saw, like provincially. In one province, Quebec, they had advertising out that talked about necks stretching like giraffes. And they said, well, this won't really happen, but it could. It was just really misleading and wrong. So let's hopefully they use a common sense public health way of doing this. They said many of the recommendations mirror the approaches to legalizing and regulating cannabis taken by Canada and Uruguay, models that report explores in depth as well. They say from the report, it says that existing state cannabis policies were developed with a public health strategy. State-to-state variations in regulations limit public health efforts to prevent harmful use. In contrast, some countries such as Canada and Uruguay have adopted more measured approaches with stricter government control over cannabis products and how they are sold or consumed. Such stricter regulatory frameworks may better protect public health. Now, in contrast, they say that the state legal approach in the U.S. has meant little oversight for things like age gating or enforcing advertising restrictions. Age gating, as far as I'm concerned, that's just garbage because a lot of them you just click, are you over 18? You just click yes or no. 5-year-old can do that. The report also expresses significant concerns about how the current ambitious definition of hemp in the 2018 Farm Bill has led to largely unregulated market for intoxicating cannabinoids. They also have several recommendations. They say that Congress should refine the definition of hemp. They say in conjunction with other agencies, the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention should conduct research on and develop best practices for public health for states that have legalized cannabis. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, in conjunction with federal, state, and tribal and territory partners, should create and adopt a public health surveillance system for cannabis. They say the U.S. Pharmacopoeia has established product quality and analytical standards for cannabis inflorescence, which is flower, and developing standards for cannabis extracts incorporated into pills and edibles. State cannabis regulators should require training and certification for all staff at cannabis retail outlets. That's required here. The Centers of Disease Control and Prevention, in coordination with the relevant agencies, should develop and evaluate targeted public health campaigns directed mainly towards parents and vulnerable populations. Congress should remove restrictions on the Office of National Drug and Policy from studying the impacts of cannabis legalization. Why would they want? Yeah, why are there restrictions on studying it? Jurisdictions responsible for the enforcement of cannabis laws should endeavor to regularly gather and report detailed data concerning the use of criminal enforcement tools. State cannabis regulators should systematically elevate and, if necessary, revive their cannabis social equity policies to ensure they meet the stated goals. Where states have legalized or decriminalized adult use of and sales of cannabis, criminal justice reform should be implemented and records automatically expunged or sealed for low-level cannabis-related offenses. That should be something that's automatic. And, here in Canada, be critical of our system is that they made people do it independently, separately. And people had to, the government dropped their fee, but there were still fees that people had to pay into in order to apply for their pardons. So you still had to do individual pardons instead of making it, simple possession as a minimum and just expunge them with the pen. If they can do it in other places, there's no reason why they can't do it here in Canada. I know that there were some MPs that did look into starting to do that, but I'm not sure where where it sits right now. I'm not sure where it's sitting at. So we'll see what happens in time. All righty. On to the next story. And this one is going to come to us from the U.S. And it's coming to us from Entrepreneur. And the headline on it says, DEA wants more psychedelics for cannabis research purposes. Well, let's hope this is research that is pro-research and they just don't go for the negative, looking for that all the time. It says, the DEA last week proposed increasing its 2024 production quotas for research-grade psychedelic compounds, including psilocybin, psilocin, and ibogaine, according to Lucid News report. The revised production agenda, posted in a notice to the Federal Reserve, calls for increasing production of from 20,000 to 30,000 grams of psilocybin, and from 24,000 to 36,000 grams of psilocin, a 50% overall increase. The numbers are also represent DEA's new production quotas for those substances for 2025. The agency also calls for increased ibogaine production in 2025 from 150 to 210 grams. Not a lot compared to the others, but did not call for increasing the production of MDMA or DMT. The agency said the increased production rates are necessary to drive and support new research into the effects and potential applications of psychedelic substances, many of which are Schedule I substances under federal law. Well, let's hopefully it's all positive. Now, an excerpt from the report says, from the DEA's notice, says that those proposed increases are to support research and clinical trials for DEA registered Schedule I researchers. Those proposed increases demonstrate DEA's support for research with Schedule I controlled substances. The proposed increases reflect research and development needs as part of the process for seeking the FDA approval of new drug products. Now, the previous DEA announced massive boosts to its psychedelic production rates was in 2021 in preparation for a significant research push. The agency also has proposed decreasing next year production rates of fentanyl, hydrocodone, hydromorphine, and Oxycontin. And they say additionally, the FDA recently awarded breakthrough therapy designations to both psilocybin, and MDA, although the agency later highlighted concerns about the initial investigations into the MDA as a potential treatment for PTSD. So there you go. Good. So it's good that at least they are, asking for this stuff so that they can do the research. And it sounds to me like, there could be some positive research out of that. And let's hope that that's what they are on. That is their goal, is to find some positive research. All right. I'm halfway through. I've got 6 stories today. I've done 3 already. So I'm going to take a quick break, do a little bit of medicating, and I'll be right back. You're watching Psychedelics and Cannabis Educational News here at paceradio.net. You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net. Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, open Monday to Friday from 10 till 7 p.m. or by chance. Check out our flags, our t-shirts, plus our hats, and look of that supply of rolling papers, plus much more. We've got bongs and your favorite herbal vaporizers. Look at all the incense we have, as well as for those who collect knives, check out these knives in our collection. And while you're here, stop in to see Shay at the piercing room, where you can get poked by Shay. Daily deals, check them out. Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford, Ontario.
When you have a pain that's reached its peak, Legacy for 20, it's so unique. If organic cannabis is what you seek, here's your trusted partner 7 days a week. Suppository salves, vapes and drops, topicals, edibles, infused pop. Just when life seems like it ain't easy, at Legacy 420, enjoy a pop freezy. Lab tested products, make them the GOAT. Legacy 420 out on your road. Legacy 420 in Tyndonega Mohawk territory. Indigenous organic cannabis at its finest.
What do you find at paceradio.net? People advocating cannabis education.
Limestone City Hydroponics is Kingston, Ontario's hydroponics shop. Take your growing to the next level and create the optimal environment with a tent kit, or maximize your yield with an ebb and flow flood table kit. Either way, Limestone City Hydroponics has more sizes and options to fit your needs. Are you looking for the power of the sun that adapts to your budget? Then look no further, as they have professional grow lighting. They have indoor grow systems that are easy and cost effective, with many options to fit your living space and lifestyle. Cultivate your growing potential. We have everything you need to succeed. And if you can't make it to the store, they offer local delivery to the greater Kingston area. Remember, when you're looking for experts to help you grow, then look no further than the locally owned Limestone City Hydroponics, 105 Sunderland Drive in Kingston, Ontario. Call them at 613-548-0420. Are you looking for non-stop, continuous cannabis and psychedelic programming? If you are, then turn your browsers to 420radio.ca or paceradio.net, where you will find the 420 Pace re-rolled Saturday. Everything gets started at 8 a.m. Eastern Saturday morning. You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net. Hey, I'm back from a medication session and your life with psychedelics and cannabis educational news. I got 3 more stories to cover, and here we go. This one comes to us from the International Cannabis Business Council, and it says that Ukraine approves list of qualifying medical cannabis conditions. They say earlier this year, in August of 2024, Ukraine's medical cannabis program officially launched Ukraine's Parliament's first approved medical cannabis reform in December 2023, with President Vladimir Zelensky signing the measure on February the 15th. Now, cannabis resin, extracts, and tinctures are excluded from the list of dangerous substances in Ukraine under the new policy. The production of medical cannabis, development of medical cannabis therapies, and distribution of medical cannabis products are to be tightly regulated in the European nation. Now, according to the Ministry it says here, in order to implement the law, the Ministry of Health team, together with the Ministry of Agrarian Policy, the State of Medical Service, the Ministry of International Affairs, the National Police, and other executive authorities have developed bylaws that regulate all processes in detail and will allow the patients to receive medicine from medical cannabis, according to as the Ministry of Health. It was in a news release about this. And it goes on to say, in order to ensure the cultivation of medical cannabis in Ukraine, licensing conditions have been developed, which will soon be considered by the Cabinet of Ministers. Also, the entire chain of circulation of medical cannabis, from import or cultivation is dispensing to a patient in a pharmacy, will be subject to license control. Now, as originally reported by the Marijuana Moment, Ukraine officials recently approved the list of qualifying conditions for suffering patients to qualify under. It says, on Friday, Ukraine's Ministry of Health revealed a list of about 20 qualifying conditions for which medical cannabis can be prescribed to patients, while noting that additional conditions could be added down the line if it's deemed medically appropriate. Those conditions include multiple sclerosis, neuropathy, shingles, cerebral palsy, spinal cord injuries, complications from chemotherapy, Parkinson's disease, childhood epilepsy, and weight loss associated with eating disorders. The ministry also noted that a medical advisory committee could approve additional conditions in the future. Yeah, I don't know if I don't think they would consider Crohn's anything is listed in there, because it's not an eating disorder. Ukraine medical cannabis cultivation facilities are required to be operated in closed soil conditions with round-the-clock video surveillance. Additionally, national police must have free access to all facilities under the new regulations. For cultivation, there is a procedure for purchasing plant seeds. They must have a quality certificate and be registered in the state register of plant varieties suitable for distribution in Ukraine, according to the Ministry of Health. Now, medicines for medical cannabis will be made in a pharmacy setting and prescribed by prescription to patients for whom conventional medicines do not have a therapeutic effect or cause adverse reactions that are poorly tolerated. It was nice to see that last end in there, because I don't like the fact that they say that cannabis has to be the last resort, and that was something that they did here in Canada as well. Now, it goes on to say it will be possible to buy some medicines in Ukraine only with an electronic prescription, which will indicate the dosage form and dosage, the names of the active substances included in the composition. It is expected that medical products for medical cannabis will be available to patients in the form of oral drops, hard capsules, and dental pastes. Dental pastes. Wow. No flower, herb, or anything like that was mentioned there. The law allows people entering or leaving Ukraine of transiting through its territory to carry medicinal products based on medical cannabis for their use in an amount that does not exceed the amount prescribed by a doctor's prescription. So you can leave Ukraine with your cannabis. We can't leave Canada with our cannabis. I don't know where they're going to go with it, but so there you go. No herb or anything, but hopefully that can be changed down the road for the patients that are obviously going to be needing cannabis. So, all righty, on to the next story. This one's coming to me from Gontrey, and I like to see this happen here in Canada as well, because the headline there says that the California governor signs bill to let cannabis cafes serve food and host live music. I like to have cannabis cafes, and there's no reason, I don't see any reason why you couldn't have food or live music in a lounge. It wouldn't make sense not to, in my mind. But now it goes on to say that California Governor Gavin Newsom signed a bill on Tuesday to let cannabis cafes in California serve food and drink and host live performances. the San Francisco Chronicle reports. This comes one day after he vetoed a bill that would have allowed small cannabis growers to sell products directly to consumers. That sounds like Farmgate. Come on, Governor, why not allow Farmgate? Authored by Assembly member Matt Haney, the latest proposal addresses concerns the governor expressed last year when he vetoed the state's previous proposal to legalize cannabis lounges. At that time, Newsom said that allowing such businesses could undermine California's long-standing smoke-free workplace protections. Sounds like Ontario. So this year's proposal carries requirements for participating companies to evaluate their working conditions and post appropriate warnings, and for local authorities to consider setting new ventilation and or filtration requirements. I know the lounges in Toronto over the years, back like 12 years ago, many of them did. They did have ventilations. I've seen some places that had 2 or 3. I've seen one place that actually had up to 6. And I did see some places that didn't have any ventilation. That article will be in, I believe it's issue 34 of Treating Yourself magazine, page 106. They say lots of people want to enjoy legal cannabis in the company of others. That is now finally legal in California, and there's no doubt that cannabis cafes will bring massive economic, cultural, and creative opportunities and benefits to our state. According to Haney, the rules will take effect starting January the 1st, 2025, giving jurisdictions the time to establish their own local rules for handling and or allowing the state legal cannabis cafes. So it sounds to me as if they can opt out of them. The bill, which was backed by the United Commercial and Food Workers Union, passed the Assembly 63-5 and passed the Senate 30-7. Previously, state law permitted on-site cannabis consumption, but the businesses were not allowed to sell other types of consumables such as infused food and beverages. So now that they can sell food, does that mean they can sell infused food and beverages? Sounds like it to me. Anyways. All righty. Got that story done. On to the next one of the day. And this one, we're heading over to Germany, because over in Germany, according to the International Cannabis Business Council, they say that Germany's agricultural ministry approves historic hemp measure. So into some hemp news here. Germany recently approached a draft law previously presented by the Federal Ministry of Food and Agriculture, SEM Ostermer. The approved measure liberalizes industrial hemp in Germany and is intended to make it easier to cultivate industrial hemp and permit its use. As part of the measure, the abuse clause will be deleted and the indoor cultivation of industrial hemp will be expressly legal. Now, according to the minister, he says that especially in times of climate crisis, we are removing obstacles from the path of farmers who want to try something new in their fields or in their halls. Industrial hemp offers our agricultural many opportunities. It contains hardly any THC, which causes highs, is undemanding, requires hardly any pesticides, fertilizers, or water. It improves soil and provides habitat for insects. The harvest can also be processed in a wide variety of ways, from food to textiles, he continues with. The abuse clause criminalized actually innocent industrial hemp growers despite their best intentions. Now it is finally time to let the grass grow over it, and a lot of it, if possible, so that the innovative scene of industrial hemp growers and processors can continue to develop in Germany too. Now, the German Cannabis Industry Association welcomed the central elements of the reform in its recent newsletter. They said, until now, even the theoretical possibility of a slight intoxication through the private consumption of large quantities of products has led to the entire value chain being punishable. This special government regulation is now being abolished. Now, that BVCW statement stated after the recent approved measure. It goes on to say that we are finally freed from these unnecessary hurdles. This is a major political step forward for industrial hemp and will contribute significantly to the growth of the industry. We are pleased about this important step and will actively support the further parliamentary process, according to them. The BVCW pointed out in its coverage of the approved hemp measure that the need for further hemp policy and regulatory changes in Germany, including raising the THC limit from 0.3 to 1.0 and providing funding and standardizing methods of cannabinoid values. On the 0.3 to the 0.1 increase, I saw something earlier today on that proposal is also coming before the U.S. end of things as a private member's bill or something. Now, to finish this off, it says that after the legalization of cannabis as a recreational drug, there is no longer any reason for any restrictions on the cultivation of industrial hemp. The Industrial Hemp Liberalization Act removes hurdles of hemp cultivation in the parliamentary process. We will take a close look at whether the law is significant or whether it still needs to be improved. The potential of the plant as a supplier of all oil and fiber is enormous, and we should use it, according to Carl Barr. So there you go. Yeah, good to see that they're up in there and allowing farmers to grow hemp. So clothing, as I said, there's all kinds of uses. I think in Jack's book, The Emperor Wears No Clothes, 50,000 different uses, from pesticide to paints to, as we already know, clothing and fuel and all that other stuff. So, and there was actually last night in the Pace Radio Show, Tamara and I were talking about CBD being used as an insecticide as well. So just never know. Cannabis seems to be able to do a lot. You know, can't do everything, but it can do a lot, and there's no doubt about it. So, all right, everybody, that is the news for today. Other than that, I will see you on Monday, and I gotta say thanks to our friends, legacy420.com. Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. I'll be in to see you soon there, Wayne. I got to pick up those papers, as well as Limestone City Hydroponics.ca. I'll see you tomorrow, guys. And in closing, I'd like to say thanks for watching and tuning in. And don't forget to educate, medicate, and let's not incarcerate. Bye-bye. See you on Monday. Bye-bye. You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The opinions of the individuals during this broadcast are their own, and may not be the opinions of their group or other organizations they may be involved with. All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
When you have a pain that's reached its peak, legacy for 20, it's so unique. If organic cannabis is what you seek, here's your trusted partner 7 days a week. Suppository salves, vapes and drops, topicals, edibles, infused pop. Just when life seems like it ain't easy, at Legacy 420 enjoy a pop freezy. Lab tested products make them the GOAT. Legacy 420 out on your road. Legacy 420 in Tyndonega Mohawk territory. Indigenous organic cannabis at its finest.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Limestone City Hydroponics is Kingston, Ontario's hydroponics shop. Take your growing to the next level and create the optimal environment with a tent kit, or maximize your yield with an ebb and flow flood table kit. Either way, Limestone City Hydroponics has more sizes and options to fit your needs. Are you looking for the power of the sun that adapts to your budget? Then look no further, as they have professional grow lighting. They have indoor grow systems that are easy and cost effective, with many options to fit your living space and lifestyle. Cultivate your growing potential. We have everything you need to succeed. And if you can't make it to the store, They offer local delivery to the greater Kingston area. Remember, when you're looking for experts to help you grow, then look no further than the locally owned Limestone City Hydroponics, 105 Sunderland Drive in Kingston, Ontario. Call them at 613-548-0420. We are people advocating cannabis education here at paceradio.net.